Jesse Marsch has handed Canada's net to Dane St. Clair, who in fact plays in MLS for Minnesota United. And that's not surprising given that Dane St. Clair started 2 of Canada's group stage games. What is also not surprising now is that veteran central midfielder Eustaquio will not be rejoining Canada for the knockout rounds of the Gold Cup, even though he was initially named to the squad and was set to come back and be the team's captain. But that became a growing eventuality over the last few days as it became clear that FC Porto was going to demand an earlier preseason from their team following a poor Portuguese league season and an early exit from the Club World Cup.
We strategically looked at how to use all 26 spots, and we talked with Steph before we even got together in June, and then talked about the timeline and the possibility of different things that might come available. He felt strongly that he really wanted to join the team. So then when analyzing everything, we decided to use one of the spots, but even knowing that Porto could go far in the tournament and that we might never see him. Then it came around. Porto did not perform the way they had hoped. There was a little bit of panic internally in the organization. I think Steph still wanted to join us, but was put in a squeeze because now they were coming back even earlier than they were supposed to come back. And then in the end, Porto refused to release him, which they had said before the tournament that they would. Venezuela was a real important moment for us as a group. I thought we played outstanding in that match. And then what's interesting is we played in a lot. We didn't play in temperature control. We played in Atlanta, then we played in two games in the heat, and then we went back into a temperature-controlled environment. It's going to be temperature-controlled here. I'm expecting our team to be ready to fly. Like, we're not going into this game thinking we're going to play passive. We're not going into this game to say, all right, let's be conservative. We're fit, we're strong, we're ready, and we're committed. And I'm really excited for what that will mean for our performance tomorrow.
Our Gold Cup tour with One Soccer's Christian Jack continues now. We're inside US Bank Stadium here in Minneapolis. Let's get through the lineup stuff first. We had both known for many days that Eustaquio was likely not going to be rejoining the Canadian men's national team. Not necessarily a loss for this squad because of the way some like Nico Segura stepped up.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I still think it on form, he's probably the best midfielder Canada has. Obviously, for those unaware, he's missing this because he's been playing for Porto at the FIFA Club World Cup. They've been knocked out, but Porto want to start their preseason earlier. But you're right, because the midfield has been excellent in this competition. Nico Segura talked about him again in the press conference today. Jesse Marsch said it was almost a flawless performance in the last match against El Salvador. And I think Matthew Choinière on the quiet has been maybe Canada's best player here in the Gold Cup so far. I thought he was excellent against Honduras, and certainly again with another key assist in that last match. So I don't think they'll be missing Eustaquio as much maybe as we initially thought.
Yeah, we can highlight too, they are missing Alphonso Davies, Moise Babito, Ali Ahmed, and now Stephen Eustaquio, but they will have Dane St. Clair in net. And it stands to reason when you consider Copa America that was Maxime Crépeau's tournament. Jesse Marsch knows what he has in Maxime Crépeau in tournament play. Now he gets to see what he has in Dane St. Clair.
Yeah, it's key that, one, we know that Jesse Marsch is loyal, and two, that this is Dane St. Clair's net now for this tournament. And he's never had that from the start to the finish. Yes, Max Crépeau got that last game against El Salvador, but that was almost like Dane St. Clair getting the third place game against Uruguay in Copa America. We know there's no third place game here, Matthew. That was Crépeau's one chance. It's the place where he plays in MLS, right? Dane St. Clair is very familiar with this. This is now his opportunity. Jesse Marsch said he's just a little bit ahead of Max Crépeau right now. He moves into the lead in appearances under Jesse Marsch, 11-10. Now it's his net. Let's see what he does.
Let's get away from the roster and go big picture. You mentioned something in the media availability that I want to touch on. Last year in that quarterfinal against Venezuela inside AT&T Stadium in Dallas, something changed the moment that Ismael Kone hit that game-winning penalty. You could feel it in Dallas that the Canadian public started to gravitate to the men's national team real closely. What kind of moment could this be?
I think it's really important to bring those comparisons. You know, I asked Jesse about this because there's something special about knockout football. There's even more something special about knockout tournament style football, right? Yes, this is a quarterfinal on Sunday against an opponent in Guatemala that Canada and Canadians will expect to beat. But we all know what's on the other side of it. It's either Costa Rica or the United States in St. Louis. And we all know what US-Canada means in sport and complex for Canadians.
But Jesse didn't want to get too far ahead.
But we can. So we can get there, Matthew. And we know, as we're talking, we know that the purists are going to be watching this game, but we know the tourists will join them if the United States are playing Canada in a big Gold Cup semifinal. And I think that on the other side of it is a huge momentum for this team to go forward.
But they have to get through Guatemala first. The one thing Jesse Marsch said, speed and spirited, but he had talked about Canada being inside a climate-controlled stadium. There is turf here inside US Bank Stadium, and the one thing Jesse Marsch said, they're going to fly, and they have to. Now it's knockout round soccer. Back to SportsCenter.